When Jesus said, "Do this in memory of me," every time we eat that bread and drink from that cup, his flesh and blood, we do more than make a memory. We are actually in his presence. In today's episode, we are going to bring back great memories from coming home for some coming home meals right here. Stick around on Savoring Our Faith. For this episode, I'm so excited because throughout this whole season of filming Savoring Our Faith, I've been getting some great help from some great chefs. And they're going to be featuring some of their favorite home-style cooked menus. And whenever they come home, this is what they look forward to. And if they're away from home, this is what they crave. Chef Jacob Jones is going to be featuring a mac and cheese, but not just any mac and cheese. It's going to be gooey, delicious, finished off in the oven, and it's going to have a smoky cheddar cheese topping and sauce with it all. Absolutely fantastic. Chef Randall Edwards is going to be giving to us some Louisiana cooking and giving us his family's special gumbo recipe. And for me, when I come home, I love Filipino breakfast, and I'm going to make for you a fried rice that's in a meal in and of itself, because it's going to also have some flavored eggs as well as a sweet and savory Chinese sausage. So I'm real happy to have with us Chef Jacob and Chef Randall. Come on in, guys, because we know that you've been working hard. These guys have been absolutely fantastic, cooking up in the back and helping me out with all these episodes. Now it's time for you to share a little bit what you got. So, Chef Jacob, you are from the area, from the Birmingham, Alabama area, where we do our filming.
Yep.
And he's actually a convert to the Catholic faith.
That's right, yeah, a little over a year now, Father.
And he even brought his whole family with him, too.
They came into the church this past Easter.
And it was through food, his cooking, no doubt. And you, young man from Louisiana, he's also a culinary teacher at where?
I'm a teaching assistant at Nicholls State University.
Awesome. And you're going to be starting off with the gumbo, so let's go ahead and get this started. Tell us what you've got going, and then we're going to be asking you a bunch of questions about where you got your passion for cooking. But what do you have right now in this pot?
Right now I've got just a simple dark roux going. It's been going just oil and flour. It's been going for maybe 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So you get a real nice dark brown color.
Like the color of a copper penny, right?
Right.
Beautiful.
You can take it to even darker than this or lighter than this.
Yeah, that's beautiful though.
It's not only just a color thing, it's an ingredient, like how Italians have their herbs and spices. Louisiana food, roux is more than, a flavor. It's a main ingredient of our dish.
It's even a facial cream too. No, it's not a facial cream. I'm going to pull out some chicken and sausage for you as well, and tell us what else goes in there.
Yeah, so right now while this roux is going, it's getting hot, I'm going to add what other cultures call mirepoix, but in Louisiana we call it the Trinity.
I love it.
From Catholic Louisiana.
You see, food and faith. Let me get rid of all of this in there.
Onion, celery, and bell pepper is basically it. We also they refer to garlic as the Pope because it resembles the mitre a little bit.
Exactly.
So,
love it.
Well, this is sauteing up a little bit.
And so you don't even have to saute that separately. You can just throw that all in there. It's going to get kind of gummy. It'll pull out all the juices and it'll wet up again. That's awesome.
It's going to go for a little while.
Okay.
And then I'm going to grab some chicken stock.
Okay. Let me get that for you.
All right.
So just the chicken stock, because with the roux, you got to keep turning it around because you don't want one side to cook longer than the other. It'll burn.
It'll burn fast. It's very temperamental.
Yeah, just like you when you were a kid.
Right.
Now, did you this is like so Louisiana, right? And so you've been eating this since you were a baby?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, family gatherings, when all the family comes in, they like my dad's gumbo a whole lot. So
is this your dad's recipe?
It's half my mom's, half my dad's. I've kind of combined them a little bit.
What a good young man.
Yeah.
All right, good. So I've got the chicken stock. You don't even have to warm this up, right?
Nope, it can go right in here.
So right in? Just,
Yep.
Can I pour?
No problem.
All right, so just continuing to pour. And you're gonna use how much? This basically this whole package of
Pretty
32
much,
ounces?
yeah.
Okay, great. So 32 ounces or 2 pounds here of chicken stock, and you can use store-bought.
Good right there.
Perfect.
Just to cover up the vegetables a bit.
Okay.
And that roux, it's going to start thickening up the chicken stock itself and making a nice dark color.
It's awesome. That's a great color.
And I'm going to grab this
What do you need?
chicken and sausage.
Oh, okay, great. So some chicken and sausage that we have cubed up.
And this is one of the more classical. They do shrimp, seafood. They do any kind of gumbo really that you want. Just one of my favorites is just regular chicken and sausage.
Okay.
So this is
So just a nice seasoning of salt.
salt and black pepper on it.
Yeah, keep it nice and simple. Because you've got so much flavor in there. That roux has a lot of flavor. And you're using some, what are these, andouilles?
Andouille sausage.
All right, excuse me, andouille. All right, gotta get that Louisiana going. And it doesn't matter if some of the chicken touches the sausage because it's all gonna cook together in there
It's all
anyway.
really hot in this pot right now, so
Awesome.
it'll kill all those germs.
Okay,
I'm just gonna slide this chicken right in here right now.
okay,
And it doesn't have to brown. All this chicken,
nice.
everything's gonna cook perfectly fine in here. It's gonna be super tender from all of the liquid in there. And the sausage I'm gonna save for a little later.
Okay.
Add it near the end because it's already smoked and
Yes.
cooked fully.
And this can overcook, right? And it'll kind of
Exactly.
change the texture.
It'll get
So we'll
hard
make sure that
and
this gets put back in the refrigerator.
I might need a little more stock for it.
All right. And this is like your mom style cooking. She kind of
Yeah.
cooks and, or your dad too. You kind of cook and you watch at the same time.
Right. It's all it. Recipes are more like guidelines.
Yeah.
You know, if it gets low because certain temperatures to very temperamental, you just add a little more.
Sure.
And it all makes it out fine. And for right now, this is basically just gonna stew
Awesome.
for about 20, 30 minutes.
Okay.
And we'll come back and.
Do you need to
adjust some
cover
things.
it?
Yes, I'm gonna cover it.
Okay. So we're gonna cover that up, and then basically what we're gonna do is let that cook down. At the very last minute, you're going to,
I'm gonna throw in the sausage and then change up the seasoning a little bit with maybe some cayenne pepper and some
oh
salt.
my gosh, that's awesome. So let's move this off to the side so that Chef Jacob then can show us what he's all about. And let me ask you real quick, where did your passion for cooking come from?
Ever since I was really young, I just really enjoyed being able to cook something for my whole family.
Uh-huh.
Because I grew up in a family of 10 children.
10 children!
So cooking was always in large portions for us.
Yeah.
So, you know, and you have a lot of taste testers and a lot of picky eaters. So it's a real test of, you know, who's going to tell you if your food's good or not.
Well, I can tell that's good. I've been smelling it when that roux is cooking. All right, take over here. Let's figure out what you've got going.
All right, Father.
Mac and cheese. Now, again, one thing that's really beautiful about home-cooked meals is that none of it is super fancy. It's just earthy, good home flavors. And even though these guys are trained chefs, I mean, they put my cooking skills to shame. They've been teaching me a lot of neat little tricks. What do they resort to? Mac and cheese. I mean, go figure. So, Chef, why don't you tell me about
Okay, Father.
where you studied? Where did you go to school? This one here.
I went to school locally here at the Culinary and Hospitality Institute at
Okay.
Jefferson State,
Okay.
and I worked at several different kitchens around town,
Uh-huh.
kind of building skills
Okay.
and learning as I go along. So right now I'm going to make a little roux.
Okay.
Now Randall made roux with some oil
From oil,
and
yeah.
flour, and that's typical of Louisiana. But also another way to do it is a little butter and flour.
Yep.
So I'm going to do a little equal parts butter and flour,
Okay.
and I'm just going to take this whisk right here and just kind of get it.
You want it on a medium heat or a low heat? Or what do you got going there?
I just want to kind of melt the butter.
Okay.
So we just want to blend those together.
And you know, that doesn't look like a lot, but that's gonna go a long way.
Go a long way.
It'll help thicken up any sauce. And sometimes, some technique is to just take the pat of butter and dab it into some flour and then throw it in some stock or something, and that'll kind of help thicken it up without having to go through all of this. But this technique is needed for what he's gonna do, because this is gonna almost be I don't want to say a bechamel, but you're going to make definitely a roux.
it would
What's
be.
going to be the liquid that's going to get put in there?
I've got some milk that's been heating, and I just grated a little fresh nutmeg in it.
Awesome.
And so what this is actually going to become, it's going to be a soft bechamel,
Yeah.
but we're going to make it a sauce mornay with cheese.
Okay.
So-
See, all of this technical stuff, which I remember slightly, so this is going to be a, say it again?
A sauce mornay.
Sauce mornay, which is bechamel, basically with cheese. All right. So you just added some warm milk,
Just added some milk.
some nutmeg that's infused into it, and you just grated it out on a microplane. And then the cheeses that you're going to use, what are they going to be?
I've got some smoked cheddar,
Uh-huh.
which is very nice. It's got a nice smoky flavor.
Yeah, I can eat that, but I'm not, all right, because that'll just be bad.
And I've got some white cheddar, and I've also got some Parmesan, which is nice because it
Oh, good. So just tell us how much you put in.
Yeah, sure. I've got about a cup of this
Okay.
smoked cheddar.
That's awesome. And
We got some white cheddar.
heating it up now, the milk up, is not only going to keep the temperature of the roux going, it's going to help melt this evenly also. But you got to pay attention because this could bubble over pretty easily. Oh,
It's got a little cayenne,
nice. Good.
a little spice to it.
We'll keep this off the side in case you want to put more.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Now, when you were growing up, how often did you eat mac and cheese?
Oh, all the time. Unfortunately, a lot of times as a kid, you pull it out of a box and it goes in the microwave.
Uh-huh.
As I grew up, I learned to develop my palate a little better, and so learned to taste different cheeses. And there are so many different varieties out there.
I know.
You can throw really any kind of cheese that you have at your house.
I gotta tell you, guys, you're gonna love this. When I was a kid, I'd go over to my friend's house and we would have dinner. Got permission to go to have dinner with mom and with their parents and their family. And what was awesome was that they would sometimes have macaroni and cheese. And I had no idea what that was because we didn't eat that in my home. The primary starch was rice, and that's what I'm gonna be making for all of you. But as soon as I ate this, I would ask my friends, what is this glorious orangey pasta? And they would say it was mac and cheese, and I'd get so excited by it. So this is actually bringing me back to when I was a kid, going over to my friend's home for dinner, and then basically just seeing them put this all together. But you know what? This looks a little different from the box, doesn't it?
It's a lot different from the box. A
Yeah.
lot of what you get in the box is powdered.
Yeah.
So this is fresh.
Okay, that's awesome. That's looking really, really good.
While that's going, I'm just gonna add a little onion.
Okay. So just saute some butter in a little saucepan, onion, celery. Am I seeing a little bit of a mirepoix? No, okay.
No, no
little cayenne.
mirepoix.
No mirepoix.
A little salt. I'm just gonna cook that a little bit. Just kind of sweat that.
Okay. And that's on a super low heat.
Yes.
You don't want this to bubble over
You don't want
because
to burn the cheese.
exactly.
It will burn easily.
That is awesome. Now what do you got going here? So you kind of just sweat that down,
Just want
right?
to sweat it down. You don't want to brown it
Okay.
because you just want the essence of the flavors of the onion and the celery. That's all you want.
Now, let me ask you, because you've got a convert and you've got a guy here who's using his faith and you're going out and doing a lot of talks and playing music at youth groups. So your faith is really important to you. Now, how did this food and faith thing come together for you? And why are you here helping Father Leo out on Savoring Our Faith?
Well, Father Leo, I actually saw your program on EWTN.
Yay, someone's watching. Yay.
Sent you an email actually through Facebook and got a response and said, hey, we're taping the
that's
show. And so I came last year actually to
Help
to just
out, that's right.
Actually just to watch and observe and really like what you're doing with food and faith. And so that was an excellent opportunity for me to get to know you. And
Awesome. Technology has brought us together, so to speak.
Yeah,
What about you? I mean, how did you...
I had very similar to the same story, actually. I went to a conference where I was chaperoning a youth group, and you were speaking there, and just hearing what you were doing with the Grace Before Meals movement, I was really impressed by it. So I sent an email asking if I didn't really even know you did a show. I apologize. But
You do now.
yeah, no, of course I do now. But I just sent an email asking if you needed any help with the Grace Before Meals movement, and then I got a call back while I was on the phone with my mother, actually.
Okay, and she was cooking?
No, it was and just talk to me about the show, and I thought it was a great opportunity.
That is great.
Been looking for a way to marry the two things together.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about food and faith is that it does bring people together. I'm going to wash the spoon for you because I know you've got to probably mix that up a little bit more.
Yes.
So just keep going, mixing that all up, and
I'm actually going to grab this dish over here.
all right, I'll get it for you. Okay. So we got this dish because you know what? These guys have been serving me this whole time. It's kind of nice to be able to pay back the favor. Do you need this warm milk?
No.
All right, so off to the side it goes. You're going to now assemble kind of this all together. Right. You've got this nice little serving dish here.
Yeah, I got this nice gratin dish and I buttered it.
He's buttered it out. He's going to put some pre-cooked macaroni. We've got the oven kind of heating up for you too, don't we?
Okay,
at about 400
degree oven.
Uh-huh.
Going to add the celery and the onion.
Oh my gosh, this is so much different from the way the package describes it.
Sauce mornay.
All right. Clear behind.
I'm just going to mix that together.
That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. This is not what I remember.
For spice.
And it's not what I remember from when I go to my friend's house. So he's just adding some water in there to make sure that the consistency is good.
I'm just going to add a little more cheese just because I like this cheese.
Yes, I like that cheese too. I'm a very cheesy guy. Just proved it.
So I just want to make sure that's well blended.
Mm-hmm. Again, this is not going to be like your typical macaroni and cheese that you get from like, oh no, unless you go to a really nice restaurant and you can kind of get what I would call some gourmet mac and cheese. And some people would even throw in either some crab meat or maybe a hint of truffle oil, or some people might put in some lobster. That goes a little over the top for me. But this is basically ready to go, and you're basically going to throw that in the oven.
That's right. I'm just
get the cheese.
Some breadcrumbs.
Awesome. You know, and I can't stand this. This is his recipe, but I want to put my hands in it too. Isn't that what food makes you want to do? Just kind of get your hand into it. And it really, oh, so you're just topping this up with this panko?
These are panko breadcrumbs.
Okay.
And you could add bacon in here if you wanted a little pork fat. That makes it nice.
A little. All right.
All right.
Just use you want to throw all that cheese in there just to make sure that it's all done. And then, Randall, chef, if you can please open up that oven. We are going to throw this all in there. This is cooking. This is going in the oven. Home cooked meals. And I'm actually going to be doing my next. Asian fried rice. Perfect for breakfast. Perfect basically anytime. Ooh, but most of all, it's perfect when you're coming home. Let's clean this up, guys. Everyone's home is a little different, but the coming home experience is always the same. That is, if you come from a loving home. And that's what my prayer is, that everyone has such a loving home that whenever you come home, even if the meal is a little different, it's always the same experience. An embrace in a loving family and the comfort around the table. And you know what? That's our theological intention in prayer. That even though we're all very different, we pray that we'll all have that same homecoming experience with the embrace of God and a place at the banquet in heaven. Now, it is my turn to show you what I enjoyed when I was a kid. I just cut up some Chinese sausages, and this is a very unique sausage. It's very sweet, and it brings me back to when I was a kid. You can see the fat content is deep in there, and this has a lot of sugar in it. And since the sausage is already cooked, they call it Chinese style sausage. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, because in the Philippines, even though we are a different race of people, we share similar flavor profiles. This is going to get sauteed a little bit. I'm going to help cook it down by adding some oil to it, and the oil that I'm going to use will be a little bit of sesame oil. Be very sparing with this because it is a very deep flavor. So I'll probably put maybe half of a teaspoon of some of this sesame oil. And you know one thing that we've got, can you smell that smoke already coming off that thing? It's really awesome. And one of the things about Asian cooking is that it's got to be quick. I'm going to get some salt and pepper. If you guys got some salt and pepper, I'm going to put some garlic powder in here as well. That's all right, we'll get some salt a little bit later if we can't find any. It just disappeared, not a problem. And what I've got to do now is I'm going to cook this egg in here as well. I'm making a fried rice. 1 egg, 2 eggs, doing this super quick because I'm basically scrambling the eggs because what I'm going to add to this is some rice. This is like a meal in and of itself, really. And one thing that's nice about our style of cooking is that no matter where you go, rice is available. And here's what we got to do. Add some rice. The oil from the sesame, and this is all pre-cooked rice, kind of leftovers. I'm going to come around you guys real quick. I'm going to put a little bit of some water into this so that it doesn't burn up. You're going to continue to stir up here. I'm going to add just a little bit more oil to make sure that we're kind of okay with the wetness of this. You know what? We don't even need any salt because I'm going to actually just add a little bit more soy sauce then to it as well. You know, this is the kind of food that we ate when we were kids. This is the kind of food you guys ate when you were kids. Right. Simple foods, flavorful foods, delicious foods, but more importantly, foods that kind of bring back a memory for you. Now, I know that you got yourselves almost ready to get cooking here, and we're going to be plating up pretty soon. What do you got there?
Yeah, I'm just going to throw this andouille sausage in for the last maybe 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
Maybe not even that long. And it's just, like I said, it's already pre-smoked and cooked all the way through. And you know, it's just going to absorb all that roux and all that flavor.
Oh yeah.
It's also going to leach out some of the natural spices that it has from the cayenne pepper in the sausage itself.
That's awesome.
Keep going for a little while longer.
Okay. And then what are you going to serve that with, by the way?
That's traditionally served over rice. Like you just said.
Will this go together? We shall see.
I've never had eggs and sausage. Oh, I've had sausage in a cup.
And now let's see, what do you got going? Because we put this mac and is it? You think it's ready?
I think it's ready.
Let's take a look. And here's the reveal. Dun, 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 dun. Boy, this is going to bring back memories for you, isn't it? Oh my gosh, that is absolutely perfect. That is perfect. Beautiful mac and cheese. The only thing I'm going to do now is season this up with just a little bit of salt, and we're going to let that cook down, plate these, and even though we're kind of all a little far away from home, except for him, this is going to bring back some memories, and you know, we will eat this in memory of the people we love. One of the interesting things about homecoming, I think about the prodigal son, and the one thing that brought him home was hunger. He was starving, and the only reason why he went home and asked forgiveness was because he was hungry. But it shows to us if we truly are hungry, it can't begin with anything else but a willingness to ask for forgiveness. And so the sacrament of reconciliation invites us with open doors to the feast of the Eucharist. Welcome home. Now I think we're ready to put all this together. Go for it. He's got this mac and cheese that's absolutely beautiful.
Father, I'm going to go right for the center here. This caramelized part.
Yeah, that's the part that I want. Thank you. Well, what are you guys going to have? I'm kidding.
I've got just a chiffonade of sage.
Okay, beautiful.
When sage hits that hot pasta.
Yeah.
The flavors.
Yeah, no, you can definitely, it's so aromatic.
Cayenne, just for a little color.
Yeah, and bite.
There we are.
That is awesome. Let's see what you've got going here, because this is looking so
This has all been
delicious.
going. All the flavors have been really married together by sitting for so long.
Yeah.
That roux is at a nice, almost creamy consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Every part of Louisiana has a different type of gumbo, so I'm sure people from Louisiana want to go like, you didn't make it right, but everyone has their own style.
You didn't make it right? Are you kidding me? The only way that you make it wrong is by not making it.
Exactly.
Right?
So I've got this right here, and it doesn't really get much of a color, just a little bit of cayenne on top, just for a little extra spice on it.
That is awesome. And it's just so beautiful to see your home style cooking all coming together. And there's definitely some similarities because we've got obviously some starch, we've got some deep flavors, you've got some sausage. I've got this Chinese sausage fried rice. And even though we wouldn't necessarily do this in the Philippines, or we didn't do this in my home, this is something that kind of reminds me of the fusion style cooking that I have because with this little fresh basil. Because there are Asian flavors like Thai basil, but the first place where I really experienced the power of basil was in Italy, you know, with some of their pesto sauces and such like that. But here, this will add some brightness to the sweet and savory quality from the peanut oil, as well as the sweetness of the sausage, the Chinese sausage. And you know, brothers, it's kind of nice to know that even though we didn't really know each other at one point, after cooking together and really working together around food and trying to do what we can to feed the hungers, the spiritual hungers of the people, because I know that's what you're all about, right? You bringing your family into the church and sharing the good news, and you doing a lot of youth ministry and doing a lot of music ministry. Maybe we can have him sing us a song. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, getting together with all of you and just seeing all of this, you brought me back to your home. And thank you for welcoming me into it. And we want you to try these recipes because you're gonna get a chance to eat and travel with us. More importantly, to see the different parts of the country from some Southern style. We gotta do it. Say it in your accent. Say it in an Alabama accent. Do it.
All right, we've got Southern mac and cheese here, some sage and cayenne, smoked cheddar.
Love it.
Now what we got right here, we got a nice gumbo from the South Louisiana.
I love it. And then I'm going to make fun of my Filipino accent. We have some fried rice with some sausage, but they're so delicious. But you know, not only the accents, but this food is going to take you home. And we hope you enjoy all of these homecoming meals right here on EWTN's Savoring Our Faith.